Hello.
Hey there.
I took on my screen.
There we go. Y'all ready to have some fun?
I mean, am I correct that there are 6 cases?
Hold on a second. Hold on. We are live on Facebook.
Okay.
Well, I love to be one, but this is one of those just like I have a question real quick. So when you put in your information in the login section of my go. So
All right, let's see all the staff that's on here. If I can see all your faces.
okay. Yeah. Let me tell you when
Hello, this is Peter Izikoff joining in. Can y'all hear me?
Hey, Peter.
Yes.
Hey
Hi,
there,
Peter.
how y'all doing?
How are you feeling?
You okay?
I've been better, honestly. I am coming up on surgery on Tuesday, but I just took a nasty fall.
Oh, wow. I'm sorry to hear that. I hope the surgery goes well.
Thank you. Suzanne, I was thinking I'd just go through the introduction and the swearing in stuff and then hand it over to you when we start the cases. Does that sound good?
Sounds wonderful. Thank you, Peter.
All right, thanks. I might have to step away for a second, but
Just make sure you come back at the end if you step away.
absolutely.
Okay.
All right, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, all right, let me make a couple announcements real quick. Just to let you know, the Facebook Live is live now. It will be live through the early parts, so just to give you a heads up.
Okay.
Also, in compliance with the virtual meeting laws, one of the things I would encourage you to do, your messaging, your instant message that you can send, private message that you can send on this meeting, I would suggest if you needed to send something, like if there's a procedural problem or you can't hear or you can't see something, just send that private message to myself as the facilitator for the meeting, and I'll get that corrected, or I'll get the chairperson's attention and let them know. If you send any messages at all, you're going to have to screenshot all of your chat, your entire chat window, of which is going to have your private and public messages. Because one of the things in a quasi-judicial hearing that's in those rules is
Oh,
it
you're
prevents.
breaking up. You're going in and out.
Am I still breaking up? All right, how about now?
That's better.
We hear you now.
That's great, yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Because it's a quasi-judicial hearing on a virtual.
Now you're
You
gone
just
again.
lost it again.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yep.
sir.
All right, let's see if this works. All right, because it's a quasi-judicial hearing done virtually, all chat messages, private or otherwise, are public record, and we must maintain a copy. So what it does, it creates.
Fading out again, Troy.
You're going in and out for some reason.
Maybe I should talk slower.
I think it's your computer, Troy. I think it's your computer or something. It was like this the other day on Tuesday as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
what?
And I went and got earbuds.
The Walmart trip was a waste of time.
Yeah, okay. Did everybody get the gist of what I said?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
The best thing is not to use your.
Don't send the private messages.
Don't send anything in chat. You will have to screenshot and send it to me after the meeting.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Chairman, it's 1:30. I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Okay. And can we
There we go.
confirm which commissioners we have present right now?
Actually, yourself, Suzanne Nazim, Andrew Young, Quentin Brown. That's the only commissioner that's see on my list.
Commissioner Biggerstaff here?
Andrew,
I see
Quentin,
Caleb your staff. I'm sorry.
and Carolyn. So we're missing. Oh, Teresa sent me a message before this saying she's running a little bit late, but she'll be joining.
And Commissioner Biggerstaff is here? I don't see her.
I see her on the. Yeah,
She's here?
yeah. You may.
He's
have,
muted.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
yes. Okay, I see you. I see you. Perfect.
This is a new program from my other Zoom, so bear
Okay.
with me.
There's that sweet face.
Hey there,
Well,
Carol.
wait a minute. Who called that a sweet face?
I did.
And Commissioner Cannon?
Thank you, dear one.
Miss Cannon just joined.
Okay.
Wonderful. So once she connects, I think we have everyone that's coming to start with, and Teresa said she's joining later.
Okay.
All right. Is everyone up and running? Are we ready to get started?
Are you sure you meant to use the verb run?
Fair enough.
Peter, it's wonderful that you're well enough to be on with us, and not everybody knows what's happened to you, and you're very valiant leader for being here.
Well, I appreciate that, and I'll just tell everyone I broke my leg this weekend, so I'm working from home awaiting surgery.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carolyn.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
real quick, at the end of this meeting, we need to discuss the annual training date for September,
Okay.
the topics that I want to discuss.
I will add that.
And also for city staff purposes, this meeting is being recorded.
Thank you. And I think we have everyone we need. Are we ready to get started?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, I will call this meeting to order. And are we on live feed?
Yes.
Wonderful. Welcome, everyone, to the August virtual meeting of the Greensboro Minimum Housing Standards Commission. I appreciate everyone bearing with us with this new technology, and we think this is the safest way to go around this for everyone. A couple administrative things before we get started. Since this is virtual, I want to make sure that people not talk over each other. We need to be extra careful about letting each person speak in turn, just so there's no, feedback or anything like that. City staff will control microphones, I understand, of who is speaking at a given time. And I just ask that before anyone speaks, they state their name so that everyone knows. If any technical issues happen, we'll take them in stride. We have a very good city staff that's working hard to make this work. So with that being said, I'll start with asking city staff if there's any changes to this month's agenda. And I will note we just discussed adding the annual training date. Would it make sense to put that at the end right before elections?
Yes, you can put it right before or right after.
Okay. So that's one more thing we'll be addressing today. Are there any other changes to the docket?
There are, but I believe the approval of minutes was first. From
All
7-9.
Right, that's a good point. So do we have any motions from the commission members regarding last month's minutes which were circulated?
Chairman, I would make a motion that we accept the minutes as submitted from last month's virtual call.
Thank you. Is there a second for that?
This is Carolyn, and I second.
Thank you. Seeing a motion in a second, all those in favor of approving the minutes?
Commissioner Biggerstaff? Oh.
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Nazem?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Cannon?
Yes.
Chair Isikoff?
Yes. That motion passes unanimously. Minutes are approved. Jumping back to any other changes on the docket.
Yes. And you'll have to bear with me. There are several. Item number 6, 300 North Elam, was repaired by the owner as of August 6th.
So that is being removed.
Correct. Item number 8, 1610 Lansdowne Avenue, no consent from owner.
That'll be removed as well.
Item number 9, 2405 Madison Avenue, was repaired by owner as of 7/29, so that will be removed.
Any further changes?
Yes. Item number 10, 2012 McKnight Mill Road, no consent. Number 11, 3926 Glendale Court, was repaired by the owner as of 7/31. Item number 13, 1008 East Side Drive, no consent. Item number 14, 1014 East Side Drive, also no consent. Number 15, 814A Ashbrook Drive. There was a servicing issue. Item number 16, 606 Logan Street, no consent. Item number 17, 1014 Pearson Street. There's a publishing issue. And number 18, 1614 Quincy Street. Same reason as there's a publishing issue. So those are the changes.
Thank you. It looks like this might be a shorter meeting. Noting those changes and accepting those changes, we'll now swear in city staff.
Hi. Do each of you affirm that the testimony you give in the following matters will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yeah.
Thank you. Ms. Pressa, did you need to do a roll call on that?
No.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And for the public, usually we swear the public in at the beginning of the meeting,
yes.
Sorry?
Yes, that's correct. Go ahead.
Given that this is a virtual meeting, what we're going to do, just for logistically making it easier for staff, is as you speak, you will be sworn in. So if you can identify yourself when it's your turn to speak, and then city staff will swear you in, and then you can say what you like on a given case. I believe that covers the administrative aspects of the case. Also, of the meeting, I just asked anyone turn off any phones or anything like that that might chirp, especially given that this is virtual and we have audio going back and forth. I am going to turn over the gavel to Vice Chair Nazem, as I have a very recently broken leg and might have to get up for a bit, so I just want to turn over the gavel for the meeting, but I will still participate as I can.
Okay. The first property that we have is 815 Pearson Street. Do we have anyone on the call?
The owner listed is George Maple and Kelly Sigel.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, it's George Marple and Kelly Sigel.
Okay.
Our address is 411 McAdoo. The property in question is 815 Pearson Street.
And Mr. Marple, based on our minutes from the last time you were.
I'm sorry.
I need to read it in.
I'm sorry. That's right.
So on 815 Pearson Street, the date of initial inspection was 12/7/2012. Date of the hearing was 1/7/2013. There was a order to demolish issued 1/7/2013. It expired on 2/7/2013. The property did not have to be secured. There are children in the area. There is not a school nearby. There are no history of police complaints. The last visual inspection was August 5th. We are seeking an order to demolish, as the cost to repair would be 112% of the value.
Ms.
Are you gonna swear the individual in, or how's that gonna go?
Certainly. Mr. Marple, would you raise your right hand? And did you say there's another lady that's with you that's going to be testifying?
No, my wife is working in California right now.
Oh,
That's-
okay. Okay, so it's just you.
Yes,
Okay, please raise your right hand. Do you affirm the testimony you give in the following matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Ms. Press.
And sir, do you consent to participate in this meeting virtually?
Yes.
Please proceed.
Mr. Markle, the last time you were in front of us, it appeared that you were waiting on the State Historic Preservation Office for approval, that you had gotten approval on the plans that had been submitted. What's going on at this point with the property?
Yes, I don't know if I can share a screen. I had sent our notes and our schedule in this morning, but I didn't realize I had to be earlier because I just got the link for at 8 o'clock this morning to have the meeting. So I know you guys can share, but I don't know if I can. So consequently, to jump to that, we obviously got pushed back several times for the landmark status meeting. We finally had a distance meeting on July 1st. We received a recommendation. The city council approval meeting is scheduled now for September 15th for the landmark status.
Mr. Maple,
Yes.
your documents that you submitted is up on the screen. I
Okay.
will scroll if you'll tell me where to go.
Okay. Okay. So the email would be there. I can't. So if you can give me 1 second, my notes just went away in front of me. I'll have to pull them up in front of my iPad if that's okay with you. Okay, so these are the plans that were submitted. I believe also there was a typical section. I'll go through the notes I had sent in the email here. And I just lost them, I'm sorry. Okay, so at the point, I believe, of the last meeting, we had to have a kitchen area gutted. The kitchen would be, can I actually control this? If we could scroll up to the first floor, please. So this entire area, the rear, I guess my pointer won't show up either on your screens, right? The kitchen is the furthest most back room. That area had such a substantial amount of lead in it that we had to remove everything. And of course the flooring also, because the two areas of water damage were under the stairs where there was an old bathroom and the kitchen itself. So since that time, that floor has had all new joists put in, the subfloor has been replaced. The area under the stairs that also had substantial water damage from the original bath, or what it was a additional bathroom that was put in there, that has all now been replaced. While they were doing, or while the contractor was doing that replacement, unfortunately they found that the piers had suffered also under the foundation. And those of you that have been with me on this project for a while, we had already done this once. So we had a bricklayer come in and relay most of the foundation. They did not repair any of the inner piers. And so Ed Schwartz, that's the contractor, had to replace most of that on the northmost wall from a large section of the front of the house. We also found pine beetles in the sills in that area, and we had to jack the house up, and all of the sills on the north and on the front wall, which would be the east wall, or excuse me, the west wall, all those had to be replaced. The pine beetles had also gotten into the floor joists under some of the main living room. So those were put in. We had 2 exterminators come out to confirm that the pine beetles were gone, but of course the damage is already done. And so again, if some of you that have been involved in this project with me from early on, we'd already replaced a substantial amount of the sills, and just not on this side of the house. All right. The next thing that we found, we were not, this isn't a requirement that was part of your condemnation or order. We redid the front porch deck completely, including the joists and all of the T&G with period correct tongue and groove. What we found was a lot more damage was being done because the deck that someone had put in like 20 years ago was decking material, not exterior flooring. And it was allowing water to go under the foundation or under the house and through the foundation areas because the house is all on piers. So that was also an additional thing that was done. And then once we had, I guess somewhere around February, I can't remember when the COVID, we had a work stoppage. We actually had one of the, Ed brings two crew to 3 crew up with him. One of their's mother died, and they're working remotely because they're from south of Charlotte. And we were putting them up in extended stays and paying their expenses. Unfortunately, you know, that's become like a big issue. They did try a couple weeks where they were working, and of course, this is one I believe, right when our restaurants all closed, which made it even more difficult for them. We're trying to work through what's the best way to do this. Again, those of you who've been involved in this, I've had several issues with contractors in the past. Ed is particularly, they specialize in lead removal, but they also are in house restoration. This particular contractor has treated the house like it's a historic house and with major respect, like it's his own house. And I don't have to worry about doing things 2 and 3 times like we've done with the sills, the walls, and several other issues. Right now, I don't know if you guys can submit the email into your records at this late in date, but I had presented the schedule that he had given me for the weeks that it would take to finish. And we were looking, we still have to pour footers first for the addition in the bathroom. That would be back on the house plan, if we could flip to that. And it would be on the, again, on the foundation plan, which I think is probably the 2nd or 3rd sheet. Yes. So you could, the bathroom that is on there, the 8x10 space, that is an addition, so that we did not have to put it in there. That has, those footers were not poured. Before COVID, we'd had an issue where we had rain for almost a month and the ground was just not capable of us pouring those footers. He's looking at that only being a week to 2 weeks to actually do that 2-story bathroom addition to frame it in, and then 2 weeks for the rough plumbing and electrical, another week to finish the interior walls and the bathrooms and the kitchen, a week for the bathroom tile installation, 1 to 2 weeks for the finished plumbing, electrical, HVAC, and 2 to 3 weeks for the interior finishing, which would be roughly 12 weeks if he wasn't going back and forth, probably 16 if we are able to just go with this. My wife and I have set aside the money to finish this now, and with the landmark designation, a lot of that will be a lot easier because it's a large amount of tax credit for us. I don't know what to say as far as other than the fact that we're looking at 16 more weeks, but I don't know when exactly we can start again. The one issue that I had on my notes on here that would be something for Don Shetfield is and again, not today, but the typical section plans for that will have to be resubmitted, as Ed requested that we increase the wall thickness for plumbing on one of the bathroom walls and to double band the sill plate, which is not done that way in the typical section that was submitted for the original permits. And that would be the new deck on the porch.
Commissioners? Do we have any questions from Mr. Marple or to our inspector?
I have a question. Mr. Markle, the last time you were here, Mr. Young asked when your end date was, and you said by the time of the next meeting, you should have finished the addition. Have y'all finished any parts of that addition, or has anything been able to move forward since the last time we were here?
No, that's what I was saying, that when we were getting ready to pour the footers was when the COVID ordeal started. They worked about a month after that started. And then of course, like I said, that was right when our restaurants closed. And again, one of the workers' mother died. And so they're a little excessively cautious. I don't know if you can be in this day and age, but.
So as of today, we really have
right here, you can actually see that dirt that you're seeing in front of you is where they started to dig to start that. They did do the footer repair under the house itself where it would be, the addition would be joining it. But that's as far as they got when that stopped.
So to date, we really haven't done anything since the last time we seen this. Is that what you're saying?
I can go through the list I just gave you again. We've replaced the floor in the kitchen. We've replaced the floor under the stairwell. You can see where the apron boards are off. That's all new sills all the way around the house for over 50% of the sill plates that had to be replaced. And of course, the front deck, which was not part of what you guys had as part of what was condemnation there. Those areas that the brick removed or cleared is where we would have had to put new piers underneath of the actual exterior foundation wall.
And you plan to live in this house, or what do you plan to do with it?
We live about 4 to 5 blocks away from it. We have to rent it for 5 years to actually take advantage of the tax credits. So at that point, we would either live in it or sell it as a single family dwelling. Our house is one of the restored houses in Southside.
So y'all plan to make this as affordable housing for people, I guess, on District 1, or what is your plan with this property?
We weren't looking at Section 8, but I mean, it's we aren't going to be like reconditioning like a lot of the floors and things other than sanding them and things, if that's what you're asking me, since it is a rental property.
No, what I'm asking you is if you're not going to live in it, are you planning to make safe, affordable housing specifically for people, whether they be poor or affluent? That's what I'm asking.
Yes, yes.
So that's the point of this process?
Well, the point of this process is a restoration for a historic landmark house. I mean, the rental is just a mechanism to actually afford the amount of money that we have to put in the property.
And when do you plan to have this whole property completed? You're not really sure as of right now due to the current standards of COVID, I take it?
Until we can secure some method for a contractor to be here. I mean, we're looking, like I said, at 12 to 16 weeks, and we've been that way since I think around March, I believe. I can't remember exactly when this hit.
A question for city staff: does the fines and penalties still accrue during this time, even though we're doing COVID, or is there a effective moratorium on fines and penalties as it stands?
Fines and penalties were suspended on April 1, and they resumed on August 1st. So yes, during this time, they have started to reaccrue.
Is there a way to know what the fines and penalties are for this property yet?
I see it's not noted on the fact sheet, but we can figure that and get that to you.
When will you be able to have that?
Roddy?
I can get it today or first thing in the morning. Let's do the first thing in the morning, Commissioner Brown.
All right. I have no more further questions.
This is Jan. So in terms of the accumulated fines, you said they go back into effect August 1?
Yes.
Is there any way to delay that, considering that people are still prevented from making progress because of the pandemic?
Well, they're not prevented from making progress, meaning that upgrading, building, residential or non-residential structures is permitted in the state of emergency governor's order. It has been allowed through the entire pandemic. We ceased and suspended the penalties and reinspection April 1. People comply with the stay-at-home order. Stay-at-home order is no longer in effect except for the governor's order. Therefore, August 1 is when we started it back. So we gave 120-day with no penalties and no re-inspections.
But there are clearly people who can't get contractors still right now, you know.
I agree.
And I'd also like to note, going forward, it's quite possible that we'll go back to a stay-at-home order, which would cause further delays if we enter that state again.
Yeah.
The reason why I'm asking these questions is, sorry, this is Commissioner Brown. The reason why I'm asking these questions is maybe it would make sense moving forward that, especially in this process here with this property, we really, I guess, move it out some months, maybe even almost to the end of the year, because it appears that there's some voting issues on designation of landmark status that probably has to be met. We don't know what the landmark status will be until it is. I'm pretty sure they're going to make it a historical house. I'm pretty sure, but we're not sure yet. So I was just wondering what the penalties and fines and fees would be, you know, while we're waiting on that. And if they do get that, will that mean that the penalties, fines, or fees would no longer hold merit because it's now a historically preserved site?
And also remember that the fees can be waived down to $500 based on expenses spent renovating. And I'm sure it's very likely that Mr. Marple has expended a substantial amount of money on this home today.
So am I still mic'd or not? Hello?
You are, Mr. Marple.
Okay, yeah, we met with Mark when these fines first started to kick in, and he explained all of that to us. And yes, that we're a little nervous about that part, but he provided us the statutes and everything that stated exactly that we would only be fined $500 if we finish this, get our landmark. Well, you know, not if, we have no choice at $100 and some thousand in. So consequently, that was all explained to us. We have the documents to show that, and of course, because of the fact we have to have this for the historic tax credits, all of the expenses are also documented. So we will be able to submit that to the city to request that waiver once we have the landmark status and the house is completed.
So Commissioner Young here, from what I'm hearing from Mr. Marple is in the best scenario, he's saying, 16 weeks? 12 to 16 weeks, that's like 4 months out. Commissioner Brown is saying something like putting out just a big block of time so that Mr. Marple can eventually make some progress on this. It sounds like, you know, as we all know, he's deeply committed into this project. Hopefully he won't find more stuff that he's got to attend to, but I think we all congratulate him on sticking with this thing and doing a really nice job. So my recommendation to the commission is that we start off with that 4 to 5 month period and maybe discuss from there as to how much time we want to give them.
This is Commissioner Nasm, and I would recommend December 10th, just so that's going to be around the 16-week period. But at least we would be able to assess where he is at this point, what's happening with the property. We don't want to take it into 2021 until we see what's going on. At least that's my opinion. So I would move or make the motion for December 10th and see him back here to see where they are.
I'll second that.
We
ready
need,
to vote.
Oh, go ahead.
we need to have the count for votes, please.
Commissioner Bickerstaff,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yeah.
Commissioner Nazem,
Yes.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Cannon,
Yes.
Chair Icicle.
Yes.
Okay, then that will pass. So Mr. Marple, we'll be looking forward to you either not being in front of us or being completed or close to it by the time you step forward on December 10th. And if you have completed the project, then you just notify the staff and they will take care of it for you.
Okay,
Thank you for being on the call.
thank you.
All right, the next property is 107 Sykes Avenue. Is there someone on the call representing that property?
Madam Chair,
Yes. Do we have
Just to-
someone?
just to let you know, Commissioner Lamothe just joined.
Oh, okay.
The owner, Mr. Colley, is supposed to be on the call. Did he not get a link or get through?
Mr. William Colley, Mrs. Linda Colley.
Yeah, he was supposed to be here. I had text confirmation from him the day before yesterday.
Seeing as how he's not present, let me see, I'm looking through all the callers right now to see if.
I don't see the name.
Yeah, I don't see the name either. Well, we'll just have to remove this item and put it on for the next meeting.
Madam Chair, if you want to hold it open,
Okay.
Logan, text him the registration link,
Okay.
the web address /MHSC meeting.
All right, we will move forward and come back to the property on Sykes Street. The next property will be 1316 West Florida Street. Is there anyone on the call representing that property?
The owner is Beverly Nelson.
Yes, I see Beverly Nelson here. She's muted.
Is Ms. Nelson on the call?
Yes,
She is. She's muted.
Yes, yes, I'm here.
Thank you.
So on number 121316 West Florida Street, the date of initial inspection was September 12th, 2018. Hearing date was October 9th, 2018. The order to repair was done on November 1st, 2018, expired December 2nd, 2018. The property did not have to be secured. There are children in the area. There is a school nearby. There is not a history of complete police complaints. We are asking for an order to repair, as the repair percentage is 45% of the tax value.
Ms. Nelson, would you raise your right hand? Do you affirm the testimony you give in the following matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Pressa?
Ms. Nelson, do you consent to participating in this meeting virtually?
Yes.
Please proceed.
Okay. Based on our last meeting, it appeared that Mr. Wolf with the neighborhood development had stated that this was an older home and had met the criteria, and that you had an application in process. And I just want to see where you stand with that.
Okay, as far as I know, the work that I've done on the house putting on the siding, the new windows and everything. I'm done, and I'm just waiting for the city to come in and de-lead and paint, as far as I know.
Okay.
Madam Chair, Mr. Wolf and Ms. Blow was on the
Yeah,
line
this,
from Housing
Oh.
Services.
Mr.
yeah,
Wolf?
can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, yeah, this is James Wolf, Neighborhood Development. We do have, the case is in, it's in the process right now, but there is a write-up. We have it bid out, and we're just waiting on it to go through the system. And as soon as it gets back, we'll be able to do the work.
Any idea how long that might take?
It's been in there, well, I mean, because of COVID, it's taken a while. Hopefully it'll be back pretty soon. I don't have a specific, but hopefully within a month.
Okay, commissioners?
I have a couple of questions for staff. I'm looking at the civil penalty accrual. I like to see an accounting of that. Where did that come from? It shows $1,110 with a reinspection fee of $150. Was this prior to the moratorium?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So if this house is in the program, does this citizen have to also still pay the civil penalty and reinspection fee?
Yes, it would go.
Commissioner, by city ordinance, once the civil penalty is issued, the inspector is not allowed to cease the civil penalty until compliance. And one of the things the ordinance allows is at the end, the owner can submit receipts to the director of our department to consider reduction. And if the person is not satisfied with the reduction, or we are not allowed to make a reduction any lower, then they can appeal to the Housing Commission for review. And if you feel that any of the penalties need to be removed, that is the commission's pleasure.
All right, ma'am. Did you understand what he just said to you?
Sort of, kind of, not
All right,
really, but
let me go ahead and tell you then. If you got a pen and paper with you. You ready?
Give me 1 second. Yes.
All right, so basically what you need to do is you need to save the receipts from when you did your windows and your painting. I'm pretty sure it was close to or even more than $1,000. Maybe it was close to. You need to bring those receipts once this project is done, and you need to be able to present those to the head of the department and ask for him to remove the civil penalty fees which have accrued over time while you've been waiting to get the work done. Even though it's a pandemic and it's very hard to get the work done, unfortunately, the civil penalties still accrue. If they do not lower it to a certain level or to your level of what you would like to see, you can then appeal it to this commission, what we're talking to today. You can then appeal it to us, and then we'll look into it. Do you understand?
Okay. Okay.
Now, here's my second question for the staff. If we go back into a stay-at-home order, when will y'all still be accruing penalties, or will we also have another moratorium?
Quinton?
Yeah, I can hear
The
you.
fees will continue until we get an instruction not to. So it has been reinstated the 1st of August.
And if we go back into a moratorium, into a lockdown state, then a moratorium, we have to just wait till they institute or the governor institute a moratorium, correct?
Correct.
Okay, what, do we have a motion on the floor for how long to continue based on what we know from Mr. Wolf?
I would say we continue, make a motion till October 8th. Wait a second, not October 8th, November 12th, because he really doesn't have an idea of when they will get approval.
Right. Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. So we have a motion to continue to November 12th and a second. So we need to take a vote, please.
Commissioner Biggerstaff?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Lamont?
Yes.
Commissioner Nazem?
Yes.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Cannon,
Yes.
Chair Isikoff.
Yes.
I do have one more question for, I guess, city staff, Carla Harrison.
Yes, sir.
Is there any writing or literature that has gone out to these homeowners that explains the ability to mitigate civil penalties, whether there is or not? The previous case before ours clearly had someone that sat down and showed how that's supposed to work. And I'm just wondering, did you take? I take it this is your case?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
So I was wondering if you took the time to sit down and really explain it, as I just explained it to her now with a 30-second synopsis. I would think that, that hopefully there's a time where they can come in, or maybe y'all can go out there and really explain the financial aspect of what's going on. Is that happen, or do y'all
Yes.
document that?
We usually explain verbally, and the owner is out of state. But I will, I can go over the procedure again with her.
All right. And I guess one to Troy. Troy, is there any way that the staff can create some type of literature that will be paper bound that you could give to someone, i.e. a flyer, paper, or email, or maybe all three, that will explain the financial commitments and how to levy those financial commitments so that everyone will know?
Yes, it's in development right now. It's been in development for the last 30 days. The marketing team in our department is putting together to help a person prepare for the Minimum Housing Commission meeting. And we will send that to them early on.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so that passes. So what that will mean is November the 12th, we will hopefully have this cleared. And if that is the case, just notify the inspector and they will take care of it. Otherwise, we will see you back here on November 12th. That is all, unless we have someone that's on the line again from 107 Sykes Avenue. Did we find them?
I have texted him. I texted him the link. He has not responded at all to the text yet.
Okay, then we'll move on to our new cases and still hold this one open. The next property, it will be 916 Silver Avenue. Is there anyone on the call for that one?
I do want to note that on Monday, the ownership changed.
Okay.
From Mr. Williams to the Nolascos, I believe is how you say their name, their last name.
Okay.
It's
How do you spell?
Nolazco.
Are they on the line with us today?
Someone should be, her son should be on.
We have the son's name.
Amir.
Amir.
And his last name is the same as, let's get into it.
Okay.
Okay.
Maybe Troy can see people. I went through the whole list. I didn't see anybody on there.
I do not see that name, no.
I don't either.
Okay.
There are some names.
Nolasco. Amir Nolasco.
There are some names that I don't know which case they're associated. There is a Gina Uresti.
Hi, I'm Gina. I come to the meeting every month for Greensboro Housing Coalition.
All right. Stephen Connell and Carolyn Lassiter. I don't know their association to a case.
Stephen is here for 315 F West Vandalia.
Okay.
He's the project manager for that, doing the repairs there at that property. Carolyn Lassiter is one of the heirs for 1614 Quincy Street. I'm guessing she didn't get my message that I left her that this case had been pulled from the agenda. So if you can hear me, Ms. Lassiter, just realize that the case has been moved to a future meeting at this time and will not be heard today.
Oh, okay. Yes, I did not get that. We had a death in the family. I'm down at Nags Head, and I have very little network connectivity. But we have to do work there. So, do you have a date as to when the next time?
We'll be putting it on
September
for the
10th.
September.
September 10th?
And ma'am, that'll be online like this meeting.
Okay, okay, that'll be perfect. Yeah.
For 9/1/16, I did contact the son, and I'm trying to help him to get on.
Okay, thank you. Shall we move to the next case and hope he'll get on and you let us know when he's on?
Sure, will do.
Or is he on yet?
I'm trying to get him on.
Okay.
No, he's not on as yet.
The only other name that I don't have associated with the case is a Christina Garrett.
Christina is with 706 B Sparta Drive.
Okay.
All right, so shall we move to Sparta since we are still waiting to see if he's ready since we've got her on the line?
Yes. And
Okay.
one more thing, Madam Chair.
Yes.
I just want to say for the minutes, I think it's a little unfair to reach out to a person pre-say, and like in this case that we're waiting on for this person, and say, hey, we're about to have a talk about your property if they haven't been A, properly served, and B, properly prepared. It'd be no different than someone calling you and saying, we're about to have a meeting about your property, and you're not really prepared for it. So it kind of gives them kind of a blindside part.
Mr. Powell, I hear you. Mr. Powell, though, if this was not removed because they did not consent, does that mean that they received notice that we were going to discuss the case today?
Yes, all persons have been properly served by the admin staff for the meeting today with how to participate on the virtual hearing, and that service has been verified by legal. If the person does not show, then we have to assume they're not here to give consent. Therefore, we're going to ask you not to hear it and move it.
Okay.
And I'll say that one of the fundamental due process principles that we want to have here is notice and an opportunity to be heard. So I think we should, and I think staff is doing this, err on the side of providing as much notice as possible so that, whether someone gets what they want or not, they have the opportunity to speak before the commission.
I agree. I'm just saying that, obviously we have back channels to know. I mean, just like today, we just found out that the ownership changed, within.
It was sold on Monday. It literally happened on Monday.
Literally. So I'm wondering how the staff was able to properly send out notices to the new owners, or maybe you all already knew who the new owners were and have that signed and
So in a case similar to this, Commissioner Brown, the proper owner was served by the time required for this hearing. So service was given to that owner. They sold the property in between that notice and the actual hearing. And that owner gave notice by ordinance to the new owner. The new owner has been in contact with us and said they would be here. We would not be required to give them a new service of a document for this hearing yet. We will, if this is continued, we will have to serve the new owner. But the owner is aware.
So how does the new owner give consent for this?
Mr. Brown, that's required as part of closing, that they're made aware and consent to it.
They have to show up and consent.
That's how they consent to our hearings here?
Yes.
And then there's a separate consent for the virtual hearing.
Right. Did they show up and consent to this virtual hearing?
That's correct.
So if they have received the consent and agreed, does that mean at this point that we move forward and we have to not hear the case and continue it to next month?
If it's consent, basically, if someone's not here, just as we do at the beginning of your meeting, we would simply ask you to withdraw it and not necessarily continue it.
Okay.
because a continued date, we don't know what that date is because we don't know if they consent to virtual or in person. We would simply place it right back on the next meeting.
So did this person, the new owner, consent to what we're doing right now? You said yes, right?
Yes.
Okay, when did
And he's waiting for Troy to let him in.
Okay, when did he consent? Earlier this week?
Yes, 2 days ago.
Okay.
There's nobody in the waiting room.
Madam Chair, I got a question for you. Is there a way that we can make a motion on this case already without having people swearing or anything? Is that a possibility? Maybe I need that.
We'd be in violation of due process, Mr. Brown, if we did that.
If we made any motion whatsoever.
If we acted when something has been represented to them by city staff already. What we have here, I feel there may be a concern that you have, but I'm trying to figure out what that may be because staff on a sale on Monday of this week got in touch with the new owner to notify them of this hearing. Everything was done perfectly, appropriately as they should.
Okay. I guess while we're waiting on it, then I guess we're gonna have to go to the next one.
So he is not on at this time, Mr. Powell, is that correct?
There's no one in the waiting room and there are no new names except for Councilperson Hightower.
Okay, then we will move on to 706 B Sparta Drive. And I believe there is someone on the call for that. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm Christina Garrett.
Okay, thank you.
So for 706 V Sparta Drive, the initial inspection was done on November 20th, 19. The hearing date was December 17th, 2019. The order to repair was issued on January 13th, 2020. It expired February 13th, 2020. It did not have to be secured. There are children in the area. There is a school nearby. There is not a history of police complaints. The staff is seeking an order to repair as it's 4% of the tax value.
Mr. Powell, can you play the video for this case? This is a new case.
Ms. Garrett
I
hasn't
was
been
waiting
sworn
for
in.
consent.
Oh.
Ms. Garrett, would you raise your right hand, please? You affirm the testimony you give in the following matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Ms. Pressa?
Ms. Garrett, do you consent to participating in this meeting virtually?
Yes, ma'am.
Please proceed. Oh, actually, I do apologize. I do have a couple of questions. Is the video being shown a fair and accurate depiction of the property?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Were
Yes,
all
it
parties
is.
were all parties of interest served with notice of this hearing?
Yes.
When was the last time this property was inspected?
Ms. Press, excuse me, Ms. Counsel. Ms. Garrett is answering questions that staff needs to affirm for you.
About to say,
If
yeah.
you could back up and have staff affirm these answers.
Oh, I do apologize. I thought.
Yeah, Ms.
Ms. Garrett,
Garrett.
you don't have to answer. The city staff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, this is actually for the inspector, but I'm glad you were properly served. Ms. Harrison?
Yes.
Okay. Is the video being shown a fair and accurate depiction of the property?
Yes, it is.
Were all parties of interest properly served with notice of this hearing?
Yes, there were.
When was the last time the property was inspected?
August 12, 2020.
Is this a duplex or a multi-unit property?
Yes, yeah.
Are there more than 5 separate minor types of violations or one major violation of the minimum housing code?
Yes, they are.
Please read the violations into the record.
Duct system must be capable of performing the required function. Plumbing fixtures leaking. Kitchen space shall contain enough space to store, prepare, serve, and disposal of food in a sanitary manner. Unclean and unsanitary floors, ceilings, and walls. All peeling, chipping, flaking. Paint shall be repaired, removed, or covered. All exterior doors and door frames shall be kept in good and sound conditions and watertight. And the others were corrected.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Garrett, can you please tell us what's going on with your property? This is in order to repair.
Yes, ma'am. We have done several of the repairs. Right now, we are waiting on a writ of execution to be served on the current tenant. Back in January, we got possession of her unit. COVID happened. And so the resident signed an agreement with the lawyer that represents GHA as well as her attorney to leave the unit by July 31st. This agreement was made because the resident had violated several sections of the lease, especially when it comes to the cleanliness and the sanitation overall of her unit. The resident will not allow entry in the unit. And when we properly serve her with the 48-hour notice, both screen doors are locked, and maintenance as well as office staff she refuses to let us in.
I got a question for you. Is this the Greensboro Housing Authority? Yeah,
yes,
you represent the Greensboro Housing Authority? Okay, on Sparta Drive, which building is that on Sparta Drive?
That's going to be 706 building.
706 building. Okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
So when this whole situation started off, the first notice was actually in September, and it was with, I guess, another city representative. She denied him entry once we notified him that the repairs had been made. So we're just asking for an additional 30 days to have the tenant actually properly evicted.
Okay.
I'm wondering how Miss Harrison got in there to take this video.
That's a great question. It's the same way Mr. Kenneth got in to write up the violations, and then when he tried to come back out, he was denied entry.
I move that we, like to make a motion, Madam Chair, that we move this 30 days. Actually, you might want to move it 60 days because it isn't written in stone. The courts are going to stay open. And I anticipate that we'll be seeing some of these for a while because the courts, sometimes they close kind of suddenly if there's a COVID outbreak inside the courts. But I know this building. I've been there. We've done the plumbing out there. I know this building.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to continue this to October 8th. Do I have a second?
I second that. This is Cannon.
Okay, so we just need to take a vote, please.
Press. Your microphone is on.
We need to have a vote, Ms. Pressa.
You're muted.
She's muted.
She's mute. You're muted. Unmute.
My apologies. Commissioner Biggerstaff?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Fleshman?
Ms. Fleshman is no longer on the commission.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I had it crossed off and I still read it. Commissioner Lamont?
No worries.
Yes.
Commissioner Nasm?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Cannon?
Yes.
Chair Isikoff?
Yes.
So that passes. So Ms. Garrett, if hopefully we will see you back here on the 8th, or if the work has been done, you notify staff and they will take it off the docket for us.
Okay, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for being
Thank
on
you.
the call. The next property is 315F West Vandalia Road. Is there someone on the call for that property?
This would be Steve Connell.
He's muted.
I'll
Yes,
send a
I'm here.
text message real quick just to make sure. Okay.
So is someone on the call?
Yes.
Okay, Mr.
So-
Cornell. Oh, thank you.
Go ahead.
Yes, I'm here.
She has to be sworn in. I mean, he has to be sworn in, please.
Mr. Connell, do you raise your right hand? Do you affirm the testimony you give in the following matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Ms. Pressa?
And sir, do you consent to participating in this meeting virtually?
Yes, I do.
Please proceed.
So for 315F West Vandalia Road, the date of initial inspection was April 3rd, 2019. The date of the hearing was June 4th, 2019. The issue was ordered to repair on June 4th, 2019. It expired on July 4th, 2019. The property did not have to be secured. There are children in the area. There is not a school nearby. There is not a history of police complaints. The staff is asking or requesting an order to repair as it's 2% of the tax value.
And these questions are for Inspector LaRue. Is the video being shown a fair and accurate depiction of the property?
It is.
Were all parties of interest properly served with notice of this hearing?
They were.
When was the last time the property was inspected?
Tuesday, August 11th.
Is this a duplex or multi-unit property?
It is.
Are there more than 5 separate minor types of violations or one major violation of the minimum housing code?
At this time, yes. The only remaining violation is me seeing the water heater being operational and the fixtures that coordinate with that as well. That is the only violation present at this time.
Thank you.
Mr. Cornell, do you represent Adair Woods Holdings LLC?
Yes, I do with Desmond Residential. We are the property management company.
Okay, what is going on with the property at this time?
Everything is 100% operational, and we're just waiting for Mr. LaRue to come back out. He had some things that he had annotated on his last visit. I sent a crew out there yesterday, and then I'm down in the Raleigh region. I drove up yesterday afternoon, made sure that the progress that we wanted to see go forward was done. The hot water heater is in fact now operational. They just had it set on a low setting. But everything is 100% and the property is ready to be inspected and then someone move into it.
Okay, so with that said, I would move that we continue to the 10th of September and hope that Mr. LaRue can get out there within the next few days and everything will be complete.
Just to inform everybody, I do have an appointment set with property maintenance and management there on site for next Tuesday.
Okay, thank you.
And I'll second Ms. Nazem's motion.
Okay, if you could please, Ms. Pressa, take a vote.
Commissioner Biggerstaff?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yep.
Commissioner Lamont?
Yes.
Commissioner Nazem?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Cannon?
Yes.
Chair Isico?
Yes.
Okay, so that passes. So of course, you know, once Mr. LaRue comes out and re-inspects, then we will not see you next month. And we do appreciate you being on the call, Mr. Connell.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank
And
you.
thank you to the council.
Thank you. Did anyone get on the call for 916 Silver Avenue?
Able to see you. I have him on the phone and he said he's in, but Troy's not able to see him.
Are you able to put your phone on speaker and maybe hold it up to the...
Sure. Yes. I'm going to put you on the speaker and you can
There he is. He
talk with
just-
them that way, okay?
He just came into the waiting room. We'll give him just a second.
Oh, he is there? Okay.
He just
Thank you.
he just came in the waiting room.
Thank you.
I think they can see you, so he's going to let you in. Okay? He's going to let you in.
There he is.
Bye-bye.
All right, Madam Chair, Mr. Marr is on the line.
Okay, so we are ready. Okay, so The property is 916 Silver Avenue, and we're requesting an order to demolish. Would you please swear him in?
Certainly. Would you please raise your right hand? Do you affirm the testimony you give in this following matters will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I can't hear him.
I think he maybe can't hear.
He just unmuted himself.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay.
I need to affirm you, please. Please raise your right hand. Do you affirm the testimony you give in the following matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
I hear you now. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Raise your right hand, please. Do you affirm that the testimony you give in the following matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Ms. Pressa?
And sir, do you consent to participating in this meeting virtually?
Yes.
Please proceed.
For 916 Silver Avenue, it was initially inspected on March 10th, 2020. The date of the hearing was March 23rd, 2020. The order to demolish was issued on May 11th, 2020. It expired on June 11th, 2020. The property did not have to be secured. There are children in the area. There is a school nearby. There is not a history of police complaints. City staff is requesting an order to demolish as the property value is 246 of the tax value, or the cost of repair is 246 of the tax value.
Jeez.
And Inspector Harrison, is the video being shown a fair and accurate depiction of the property?
Yes, it is.
Were all parties of interest served with notice of this hearing?
Yes, there were.
When was the last time the property was inspected?
August 5th, 2020.
Is this a duplex or multi-unit property?
No, it's not.
Are there more than 5 separate minor types of violations or one major violation of the minimum housing code?
Yes, they are.
Please read the violations into the record.
Supporting members or members of which show 33% or more of damages, or non-supporting members enclosing or outside walls or covering which is 50% of or more of damage, dilapidation, decay, unsanitary conditions, or disrepair in which dangerous to the health, safety, or welfare of the occupants and other people in the city, inadequate facilities for egress in case of fire or panic, lack of proper electrical, heating, or plumbing facilities, interior walls or vertical studs which seriously list, lean, or buckle, lack of adequate ventilation, light, heating, or sanitary facilities, exterior doors are not watertight. The exterior of a structure shall be maintained in good repair. Exterior surfaces, including but not limited to doors, door and window frames, porches, trims, balconies, oxidation stains shall be removed. The roof and flashing shall be sound. The interior of the structure and equipment therein shall be maintained in good repair. A handrail and guard shall be firmly fastened. Every stairs, ramp, landing, balcony, porch, decks, and other walking surfaces shall be maintained in sound condition and good repair. Exterior of property and premises and the interior of every structure shall be free from any accumulation of rubbish or garbage. Plumbing facilities shall be properly installed and maintained in working order. Heating facilities shall be provided in structures as required by this section. Mechanical equipment, appliances, fireplaces shall be in safe working condition. Electrical equipment, wiring, and appliances shall be properly installed and maintained in a safe and approved manner. duct system shall be maintained free of obstruction and shall be capable of performing the required function. A safe, continuous, and unobstructed path of travel shall be provided. Smoke detectors shall be provided and carbon monoxide.
Thank you.
Mr. Nolasco, you are the son of the owners, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And they're recent, new, they just purchased the property, is that correct?
That's correct.
What
We
are their
purchased
plans?
it. I think we purchased it this past Monday.
Okay, what are their plans for this property?
Okay, next week we're looking to pull our permit and reconstruct, refix the house completely. We're looking time around 6 months, but we will make this house back alive again. That's our plan.
Are they going to live in the property or will this be rented or sold?
We don't know yet until we finish, but we are working on it. We just bought it, and next week we have plans to pull a permit, and we're gonna start with the roof. We're gonna start cleaning inside after the roof, and go from there. But it's gonna take us at least 6 months.
Commissioners?
So I have a question for the inspector. You mentioned structural damage and inadequate supporting piers and
the roof.
Yes, roof, even the floors as well.
And so so you're Mr. Valesco, your plans are to completely reconstruct this house? I mean,
yes.
With because there's major structural problems.
I'm gonna tell you that's nothing for us. So I'm working on construction, and this is like nothing for us. We can do all this. We have done worse than this. This is like nothing. We can make this beautiful house back alive. We just need time, if that's possible.
Mr. Nolasco, do you have a contractor's license?
I don't have a contractor license, but I'm working on it to do the exam. Probably next, I already qualified for the test, but due to the COVID-19, the office to take a test for GC license are being closed, but they now reopen. So I'm just waiting for them to put me on the schedule to take the class. But in the meantime, I can pull a license. I can pull a permit for the stuff that we need to do, which is not require a license. But from there, I think maybe a month or so or less, I will have my license.
Okay. Commissioners?
I can definitely verify the testing sites for all plumbing, electrical, general contractors, and HVAC, they all closed. If you call the state licensing board right now, all you're going to get is the world's longest voicemail, and then they don't ever call you back. That's how it works.
You're
That's all you're going to get, trust me.
You're absolutely right. And
my younger brother was trying to get his plumbing license, and like he's already done the background like you had to do, paid the money, and they just disappeared. So what they're gonna say is until everything in the world opens back up, you just can do what you need to do and work it out with your inspector. That's what they're gonna say.
Madam Chair.
But you're not gonna believe I'm working on it. I already be qualified. They already sent me the paper, my code, and everything to go ahead taking the test. But unfortunately, I cannot take the test because they have not opened the office. I'm waiting on, but they say due to the COVID-19, the office, they probably reopen. I got to check. I've taken my GC license and PSI in Winston-Salem, but unfortunately, they have not opened it. But that's the thing. But for the
They
stuff
don't
that
know
we're
when they're
doing,
gonna open it either. That's the thing. It ain't like we'll open in 6 weeks. It's just like it's indefinite till we figure it out. That's what it's going. That's what they're gonna tell you.
Mr. Powell, were you going to say something? I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am. I'm sure Inspector Harrison would agree. If you do provide a continuance, this structure is very close to the next structure, and it contains a lot of combustible materials that you saw in the video, piles of stuff that's inside of each room. If you could encourage Malazzo to, yes, sorry, to empty that structure and dispose of it properly or quickly during the continuance, that would certainly help the life safety hazard and the fire load of that structure should something occur.
Yes.
Mr. Nolasco, would you be able to do what Mr. Powell has recommended that we ask you to do if we continue this case for you?
I guarantee you by next week, I will have the roof completely and clean up inside. And I'll be happy for you to come and look at it next Friday. And that stuff, the house will be pretty much demolished from inside and clean.
Can't beat that. I make a motion that we move this 30 days.
Yes.
Okay, I have a motion for September 10th. Do I have a second?
I'd like to make a friendly.
I'm sorry?
Can I make a friendly amendment?
Absolutely.
I think I would prefer it go out to November, just to give Mr. Nazalo, time to really
Remove
work.
my motion, and I stand next to Tracy and want to use that motion. So go ahead.
So you are amending your motion to say November 12th to continue. Is that right, Commissioner Brown?
That is correct.
And Ms. Lameth, you're saying you're seconding that?
I will second that.
So, so this is Jan. I have some concerns about the safety hazard, and if if there's a lot of flammable materials in there and it's very close to the next building, and Mr. says that he can have it cleaned out, in a week. I guess I would still urge a continuance for a month just to kind of check in on the safety issues, which seems like that would give him as much time as he says he wants, just for the the job of cleaning it out and kind of reducing the fire hazard.
Okay. That's duly noted. And I would agree with that myself. So are you making a motion to that effect, Ms. Cannon?
Well, so how does this work? We have one motion on the floor. Do we have to vote on that first?
Well, we do.
Well, I believe there could be an amendment to the motion, or perhaps a withdrawal of Teresa's amendment if she were to agree to that.
Well,
to go back to the September 10th motion.
I'm just thinking, like, the inspector's going to be out there within a month, right? Don't they? Yes. Don't they check on it every month? Right. So you would be out there anyway. I don't want to overstep what the inspectors do, but.
Question from the fire department's perspective: has power been disconnected from this property?
No, the house has power now. We just turned the power on. The house has power. I mean, it's in good condition for the power. The only thing is not good is they are gonna say some areas in the roofing and the floor, but power lines and everything is good.
Was this property condemned?
It is condemned.
It is.
It should not have power until he has permits to repair.
Keith, he has permits, and they have been finalized for the amount of work he's done.
Oh, he said he was getting ready to.
Yeah, well, we just finalized the building permit on 7/14.
This house?
Yep.
No. This is 916 Silver Avenue.
This is Silver Avenue.
This is. Oh, I'm sorry. Wrong one.
Okay.
This is the one where the roof and the ceiling's falling in. I don't think.
I thought this was Vandalia.
Yeah, 916 should not have power nor water.
Yeah, I don't have any permits for Silver.
No, we have not pulled the permit. Next week, I'm looking to pull the permit.
How did you
Who
get
turned the power? Who turned the power on? How are you getting power?
Okay, the house has power right now. The original owner has power. Has power. The house where the damage are now, there's no. I'm gonna say there is no wires running in that area. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, where the damage for the roof is, there is no wires in that area. That's the reason why Duke Energy has allowed the previous owners to have power. Okay, and therefore that's why we calling and see if we can transfer the power. They told us yes.
So, Madam Chair,
Yes.
Knowing that there's power on this structure that we just seen with the damage and with all of the combustible materials that has filled almost every room, that would heighten the life and safety risk of this structure, because that's a huge fire load. If this structure catches fire or has any electrical wiring that is unsafe. So yes, that would heighten our recommendation for removing everything out of it as quickly as possible and for your oversight.
Okay. So, Ms. Lameth, if I could ask you if you would be willing to withdraw your motion or Commissioner Brown for the 12th of November and entertain the September 10th that Ms. Cannon has recommended, just so that we confirm that everything is out that's a danger to the property. That would certainly be of value. I realize that we'll have the inspector out there, but for our benefit as a commission, I think it would be best that we do it that way.
Okay, I can change my amendment then.
Okay, so you're going to withdraw?
Yes.
Okay, then Ms. Cannon, are you making a motion for September 10th?
Yes, so moved.
Actually, just to be specific, my amendment was for Mr. Brown. I don't know if he has to be the withdrawer or not.
Because I did speak to him. You recommended Ms. Lemon. So
okay.
Commissioner Brown, can you withdraw the November 12th, please?
I will consider it withdrawn.
Thank you. Okay, so Ms. Cannon, we've got the withdrawal for November 12th. If you will you've made your motion for September the 10th. Do I have a second?
This is Bickerstaff, and I'll second the motion.
Okay. And at this point, Mr. Powell, do we need to, as part of our motion, do we need to ask Mr. Nolasco about having the power cut off until everything is removed?
You can suggest it to him, but it wouldn't. The commission doesn't have that authority. You can just make it into your suggestion, and it would be in the owner's interest to follow your recommendations. Otherwise, they know that you're going to uphold their decision if they choose not to.
Okay. So, Mr. Nolasco, do you understand that for the benefit and the safety of you when you're in the property and your neighbors, the people who live in that area, it would be to your advantage to discontinue the power until everything is cleaned out of the property?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. That would be great. So at this point, we are going to continue to September 10th. We need to take a vote, Ms. Pressa.
Commissioner Biggerstaff?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yeah.
Commissioner Law?
Yes.
Commissioner Nassam?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Cannon?
Yes.
Chair Isaacoff?
Yes.
Thank you. So again, Mr. Nolasco, you would be required to come back online if we're still virtual in September and report to us what has been done on the property, if we can assure that you'll do that for us.
I'd be happy to do that for you. Yes.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you being on the call.
Yes, thank you so much for everything.
If I could just say thank you, Mr. Nolasco. It sounds like you know what you're doing, and And I think you understand the whole 30 days business, but I'm sure you'll do a great job on this. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for everything, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to fix this house. Thank you.
Thank you for being on the call.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Mr. Powell, do we need to approve the withdrawal for Hill Rise and Lansdowne and Robin Hood Drive?
Yes, if you would make a motion. If you would make a motion.
That was one other thing. We left on the agenda 107 Sykes Avenue because someone was trying to make contact.
That is true. Did they ever get on the call?
No, he has not texted me back or anything.
Okay. So then we have to remove that as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, we'll just pull that up.
Withdrawal, is it part, would be considered withdrawn for today?
It can be, yes.
Okay. Then I would move that we withdraw 107 Sykes Avenue, Hill Rise Court, 1605 Lansdowne Drive, and 3004 Robin Hood Drive. I'm sorry?
That must have been feedback. There was nobody speaking.
Okay, because I made the motion to remove those 4 properties. Did everyone hear those addresses?
Yes, I second that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Commissioner Brown. If you will take a vote for us, Ms. Pressa?
Commissioner Biggerstaff?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Lamont?
Yes.
Commissioner Nazem?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Cannon?
Yes.
Chair Icikoff?
Yes.
Okay, do I need to hand the gavel back over to you, Commissioner Isikoff, or do you want me to go ahead and talk about the annual training date or the elections first?
I'm fine with you keeping the gavel. I think we were going to talk about the annual training and then go into elections.
Okay. Mr. Powell, you had added the annual training date for September for the commissioners. Could you address that for us, please?
Yes, so September last year was the first time that I assisted y'all with your annual training. So September this year, I've made the presumption that y'all wanted to keep it in the same month. Is there a particular date that works for all commissioners? And I also have the topics we discussed last time to see if y'all want to keep those or add different ones.
And I wanted to confirm, would this be a virtual meeting?
It would have to be, yes.
Okay.
This is Carolyn. I would love to know what's happening with receivership. We touched on it last time, and there was so much that we didn't know, and it's such a big opportunity, and I'm just not up to date.
Okay. The civil penalties and reinspection fees?
Yeah.
The city's rehabilitation process and the housing services program?
Yes.
Okay. That'd be good.
And it would probably be useful, I think, for us to go over again kind of fines and fees and how that works, because it comes up, and it would be just good to refresh, at least for me.
I agree.
Okay. The other items that are normally updated are the quasi judicial law and code of conduct, because we have to sign those forms from the city clerk's office. And the enforcement process and how the enforcement process of the inspectors correlates and collaborates with the commission.
Right.
Are there any other topics or anything that we can work to kind of prepare that you think would be better for you?
You've hit on quite a few, in my opinion.
I think that'd be fine, Charlie. Same stuff we did last year, and maybe update some of the other things.
Okay. Does any particular days not work? Like, gonna choose a Tuesday, a Thursday, or Wednesday? And would you want it to be an afternoon, like a 1 to 5, 1 to 4, 12 to 4?
I'm open.
We're all pretty open.
Wednesday, the 16th is the best day for me.
And Wednesday,
That's open for me.
Wednesdays in the afternoon then. How about that?
Okay.
So Wednesday, the 16th, 1 to 3?
All right.
Yeah.
Wait, I said 1 to 4, my apologies.
1 to 4?
Yes, if we can get it shorter, we'll make it shorter.
Okay.
And what month?
September.
September 16th.
It'll be the week following the commission meeting.
And what was the date again? I'm at the time, 1 to 3?
1 p.m. to 4 p.m.
1 to 4. Okay, sorry. Thanks.
And this will be virtual.
It will be virtual.
Okay.
Now, one of the things to share, I will send you the individual link. Due to the Zoom, what they call Zoom bombing, I have to give you a web address to register for commission hearing. So that web address will always be the same. The www.greensboro-nc.gov/MHC meeting.
Okay.
Troy, can I add something about maybe the content for the training?
Yes.
Can you maybe spend a few minutes just walking us through whatever materials online and kind of like from the perspective of like a user, like a resident or citizen, and how they would, how they're supposed to access the site and navigate it?
My apologies. Can you say it one more time?
Yeah, could you just walk us through taking the view of like an average user or citizen or resident and how they go online and find information?
Okay. For that training day.
Yeah, I think it's just like it would help me, but just knowing what's online, what are the resources, etc., and how people are accessing that stuff.
All right.
Thanks.
Also, just to let y'all know, at the August 18th City Council meeting, there's a resolution for receivership going before the council. It is called Resolution Delegating Authority to File Petitions in the Guilford County Superior Court to the Greensboro Minimum Housing Standards Commission with respect to vacant building receivership. So basically, in the receivership pilot program, this is the first step in which City Council is being asked to convey that authority to the Housing Commission. And then in your program, we can certainly do more training and let you know what follows that. But the program is piloted, and we're wrapping it up.
Okay.
Good.
That'd be great. Thank you, Troy.
Okay. Great feedback. Thank y'all very much. I will get this information to you ahead of time, and we will do a packet for the meeting, for your training, and also get that delivered to you as well.
Troy, I have one more question. I'm thinking that this is due to the open meetings law. I'm assuming anybody can come to this, or is it just us?
We will have to publish it and make people aware that there will be a quorum present, and we will make the link available to the public. Yes, it is an open meeting.
Okay, I was thinking I just want to keep us clean. I'm always thinking of that.
Yep.
Thanks.
Troy, you will invite the commissioners on and city staff on before other people will be allowed in the room. Is that correct?
Yes.
To make sure that we're all here.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, so the annual training will be September 16th from 1 to 4. And of course, the web address is the same that he gave us today for this meeting. So the next thing is the election of the chair and vice chair. And I would like to make a motion that we keep Commissioner Peter Isakoff as our chairperson for the next term.
Is that a motion or a nomination?
I am nominating him for.
All right.
And I would accept that. I accept that nomination.
Thank you.
I would like to nominate Quentin Brown for that position.
I also accept.
Okay.
And if I could, I would also like the opportunity maybe to explain my nomination. You let me know if this is the appropriate time.
Mr. Powell, or Ms. Preston may have to address it. I'm not sure.
You can address the reason for your nomination.
Sure. So first off, I don't want to say that Peter has not done a good job. This is not a criticism of him. I think he's done a terrific job, quite frankly. My concern has been that most of the cases that we hear are concentrated in districts 1 and 2. I think it's pretty important, and I think Quentin has shown that he's got a good sense of what the folks, particularly in districts 1 and 2, are going through. And just as a comparison, I live in District 3, and there's very little activity there. The problems and issues that we know about the housing crisis really exist in some of the poorest zip codes and some of the poorest districts. I do feel, and again, this is not a slight against Peter at all, because I appreciate the way in which he conducts this, the way he treats people with dignity, and make sure that we're very thorough about this. But I do feel that Quentin's got a stronger sense about what is going on in some of the most problematic areas of our city. And for that reason alone, I would nominate him to be chairperson, and I hope it's simply taken on that level and nothing else. So that's my little few words of wisdom, so to speak. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Andrew. I really appreciate it. I try to keep my ear pulse to it. That is the districts that I'm in. Being one of the few minorities on the board with you, I think it's definitely a different time to be looking at those types of things. One of the things too, I'd also like to bring, even no matter how the election goes, I spoke to Attorney Preston about this. But one of the things that we kind of spoke about was we can determine the length of time that leadership is in place. One of the key issues that I think is really critical in today's society, especially, is fresh new leadership. And I was gonna also make a motion once we get everything in there, and hopefully my motion can still stand, or of only having a year of leadership. So instead of doing our normal 2-year chair and vice chair, but maybe having a year, so that number one, everyone gets a chance to be able to either be a leader or aspire to that, and B, number two, it would foster brand new thoughts and ideas, as well as different viewpoints, instead of having kind of what we've done before. If you look at the length of time individuals serve, you can very easily never get a chance to theoretically even be in a position of leadership due to the fact that our terms are limited. They require basically back-to-back terms of certain amounts of time. And I think that that's one of the issues that goes on even as in the broad spectrum, that we are having entrenched leadership, and that's just an entrenched ideal. So that's one of the things I think we should definitely talk about, no matter how an election goes on this board today. But fresh new leadership that can understand and see where things are, because our ever dynamic and changing diaspora of the world is always changing. So that's just my little 10 cents on that.
Commissioner Brown, thank you for your comments. I would like to say, though, we all, as commissioners on the Minimum Housing Standards Commission, have the opportunity at every meeting to speak up and voice our opinions, regardless of what district we're in. Like Commissioner Young, I live in a district that is not as inundated with some of the issues that District 1 and 2 have, and so I am very understanding of what you have brought to our attention. I do feel that Commissioner Isakoff, or our chair, brings a great deal of information as an attorney his background. So that is the reason I nominated him. But we all have the opportunity to speak up at our meetings, and we can go back and look at minutes, and we know who speaks up the most and for the reasons why. So you understand, I do understand what you're saying. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Nazem.
So do we, at this point, since I nominated Chair Isaacoff, do we vote first and then vote on Mr. Brown?
Madam Chair, you probably want to, Madam Chair, you probably want to make a motion to close each nomination, that you have no others before you start voting.
Okay. So if there are no other nominations, then I would move to close the nominations at this point and call for a vote.
If I could, I would just like to say one more. I'll make this quick, Vice Chair Nazem. So I'm not going to belabor the point. We know that this summer we've got a whole bunch of terrible things going on in our city, including the COVID stuff, which is just messing up everything. We also know that there have been protests in the streets. We also know that our mayor has promised that the city council would be delivering substantial changes and stuff. I don't want to sound like a fuddy-duddy. I'm 63 years old. I would happily renege on my position, renounce my position, if we could basically get more people of color, especially young people, into the positions like these. I think that's really, really critical. I do second the idea of what Commissioner Brown was saying about opportunities for leadership. But one of the issues that I see, and this is my only view, is that particularly for young people that we're trying to keep in our city, particularly young people of color who've been very, very active, they really need to have the opportunities to practice leadership, to get involved with our city government and so on and so on. So I'm throwing out that very large perspective. Again, this is not a personality thing that I'm criticizing Peter about, or you, or anyone else on the commission. But I think it's something that I am particularly sensitive about. The reason why I'm on this commission is basically because 5 kids got killed in that fire thing. And I think it was, I'm not exactly sure, but I think it was Mayor Vaughn who suggested my name because a spot came open and all. And there was some sort of perception, and this is perception stuff, perception that I'm somehow especially sensitive to like the newcomer communities and blah, blah, blah here. I don't pretend that I can possibly speak for them. But I do think that, for example, making sure that if they need translation, interpretation, all that kind of stuff, and certain procedural stuff, which maybe is missed because I have a little bit more experience with working with these communities, is here in our commission and it's working, then that's about what I contribute here. But I do believe that the overall picture that we need to look at, and I'm not asking, I know it's a big deal, but looking at the big picture, we've got to give consideration for how this city is going to change. Housing is a gigantic issue here. So I'll end my little speech. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Oh, that was awesome. Yeah.
I will say that we need to vote on the chair position first and table the term limit to after the fact. I don't think we need to do that at the same time. Is that correct, Mr. Powell?
Yes, you have election on your agenda, so you can hold the election, and once you do your election, you can add anything else that you'd like to your agenda.
Okay, thank you. All right, so with that, the nominations are closed, and Ms. Presser, you nominated Chair Isaacoff to continue on for another year, and he has accepted. If you would take a vote, please.
And just to clarify, is that 1 year or 2 years?
Right.
Currently, it's 2 years because that is the current term. We can address changing the term subsequently. So at this moment, it would be another 2-year term, but that could also change if the commission decides that's something that they want to do.
Wow. That's a lot.
Are we ready to move forward, Ms. Pressa,
Yes.
for the votes? Thank you.
Commissioner Biggerstaff?
And we're voting for if we want Peter for next 2 years, is that correct?
Correct. Peter or Ms. I'm sorry, Chair Isaacoff or Mr. Brown?
Okay, I'm going to vote for the chair. I think his leadership is incredible, and I also think it's tremendously important to have the real estate knowledge.
And by chair, you're casting your vote for Commissioner Isaacoff.
I'm voting for Isaacoff.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes, I'm voting for myself, if that's okay.
Commissioner Lamont?
I vote for Mr. Brown.
Commissioner Nazem?
I vote for Mr. Isaacoff.
Commissioner Young? Commissioner Young? I'll come back to him. Commissioner Cannon?
I vote for Chairman Isaacoff.
Chair Isaacoff?
I will vote for myself. I would welcome the opportunity to continue to serve.
Commissioner Young?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't unmute. I love Peter, but I will vote for Quentin.
And Mr. Young, I appreciate all the points you said. I value your opinions on the commission.
Okay, so it appears that Commissioner Isaacoff has 4 and Commissioner Brown has 3. So Chairman Isaacoff will remain in place.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm going to turn the gavel over to you at this point.
Thank you, Vice Chair Nazem. The next position to vote on is the position of Vice Chair, which is currently held by Ms. Nazem. This is also for a 2-year term, and I will open the floor to nominations.
I'm going to nominate Andrew Young. I think he has an unbelievably good skill set. I'm not going to lie. I don't know how much longer I even want to be bothered or serve on the board. One of the things that kind of bothers me is that we don't really ever really move forward. And it's not just because of the voting. There's so many aspects of it where Black and brown people are kind of treated bad. But I see that he understands and he gets it. And it doesn't matter where the leadership stands or where it stays, but I recognize that he has a very level head. I've always thought it was interesting how the minorities go one way on the board and the non-minorities don't. I have a very funny, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a pretty interesting year coming up. I'm 100% positive on that. But I think with him being there as the vice chair, which I'm pretty sure him doing the job, it'll be at least a little bit more civil.
I guess I'm dismayed by your saying that it would be a little more civil, because I've been struck by the fact that the work of this board is very civil. You know, we don't always agree, but we treat each other with respect, and we treat the property owners with respect.
I wouldn't agree with that at all. I think we treat each other well sometimes, but I definitely feel that certain individuals and certain sides of the city get definitely better treatment than other sides. Not a question. And our track record definitely proves it. We can more than welcome to do a research history on it, and you'll see that.
I'm going to speak for the commission as chair on this, that we treat every case fairly. We provide notice to everyone. We listen to all of their arguments. We let neighbors or city officials who might have an interest in a case be heard. I feel that we have allowed dissenting voices to be heard.
I'll give you an example from today then. We've been listening to that house that has the Historical Preservation Society for like 5 years. 5 years. And I understand that they want to keep the house going. He only brought up today, and the reason why I asked the questions I asked is that he plans to turn it into a place where people can live. And the only reason why I didn't go harder on it is because what he stated was, I plan to make this for 5 years to create housing, which on the minimum housing board, we need housing because there's a housing shortage. Prior to that, post his own comments in our own meetings, he stated that he planned to sell the property for multiple times. And he still wants to sell it.
I'll check the minutes on this, but he stated by my recollection multiple times before that to take advantage of the tax credit system, it has to be a rental for 5 years. I
Right.
believe that's been stated repeatedly at past meetings.
On our paperwork, there is no fines. There's also no civil penalties on our paperwork, which I asked the last time. Now, the house is right next door, there ain't none on that paperwork. You can look at it right now. Now, the next case we heard, which is also in District 1, had only been around for just a short amount of time. It had its fines and penalties, and we don't nearly give sometimes the amount of carte blanche, so to speak, towards certain other individuals. I've noticed it on a couple of cases.
We give the exact same carte blanche. Both homeowners in both those cases were given the opportunity to waive their fines and civil penalties down to $500, and it was explained to both homeowners.
Explained to one of the homeowners, which I explained.
If I could just make an observation. Chairman Isaacoff, I do appreciate what you're saying. And also, what has been said before in terms of the general civility and so on. But to my point about my original remarks before regarding Quentin, Commissioner Brown, there's also that whole business about perspective, and I'm not going to belabor that point.
Mm-hmm.
I am not African American. The majority of folks living in Districts 1 and 2, to the best of my knowledge, are African American. They do face very particular issues. I do believe that Commissioner Brown has insights. I mean, he expresses those things very clearly. I also appreciate the fact that he's going out of his way just to make sure, not that the commission doesn't do this or that you don't do that also, Chairman Isaacoff, of sort of dotting the I's and crossing the T's and all those kind of things. But I think the reason why it's critical, and I'll be straight up about this, to have particularly African-American folks sitting on this commission with the same kind of perspective or that Chairman Brown has, is because they have a very particular angle and view about how they have interacted with this city and the very specific kinds of issues that they encounter when it comes to housing, which we all know is super, super important to people's lives. So I know we could go there in terms of like the individuals and personalities and stuff, and that's why I'm hesitant to say I don't want to vote for Chairman Isaacoff and all that kind of stuff because it sounds negative. I am saying that for the sake of the city, we need to see more perspectives, particularly of those who live in these houses and are struggling through this stuff. And I'm just going to say flat out, that is not my experience. That is not my experience. I live in District 3 and I'm in the 27405 zip code, and I go and visit and see people in Districts 1, 2, and that kind of stuff, but I don't live it. And I think
I agree with you 100%.
I'll be quiet on that point.
And I appreciate that. I
I
appreciate that viewpoint, and I do want to say, Mr. Brown, you mentioned wanting to leave the commission. I do hope you stay on. I value your opinion as a contractor and as someone who has more experience in those districts. So I very much hope you continue to serve.
We'll see. I'm not the one who's over it. I'm going to talk to the old man. He runs all that stuff. But let me tell you something. You know what a lot of old African Americans are saying, a lot of young ones are, is they're done with this whole trying to work together thing. I'm going to let you know that. That's why the city burned not long ago. And it's going to keep burning. And you need to understand that. There's a lot of people out there that sit on this board that can remember when you can sit in a school and never see no one like my mama. My mama can remember what it was like sitting on the back of the bus. And she ain't dead. She's not old. So you gotta understand something. There's always gonna be a different viewpoint. Let me tell you something else. One of the rules that was put in this city was how to control African Americans. One good way to do it is to make sure they have a hard time living. You don't understand that, And maybe you do. But where I come from, everyone understands that. Seeing these people, and what I mean by these people, I mean inspectors showing up with badges telling what you got to do on your own house. A lot of people don't like that. They still come to our plumbing shop. They still come and talk about it. And you know what? At the end of the day, when it's all said and done, you can have your own viewpoints or not. But eventually, people are just going to have enough. And when they have enough, realize that sometimes people are given an out, and you didn't take the out. As Martin Luther King said, rioting is the language of those unheard.
Yeah.
Let's move on with the next stuff. Let's keep on rolling. Let's not sit here all day. I nominate Andrew Young. He's definitely the most level-headed. He also visits all the districts pretty much evenly, and he understands housing. That's who I nominate.
Noting Mr. Young's nomination, are there any further nominations on the floor?
I appreciate the nomination. I would, that really makes my head spin a little bit. Based upon what we just said, I would like to nominate Mr. Brown. Brown is an outspoken person. I would love to see him stay on this commission. He's very, very valuable. He lends the insights that are oftentimes missing. And there you go. You've got two choices now.
Well, I'm voting for you. I'm gonna make sure you vote for you too.
All right. Do we have, and Mr. Brown, do you accept that nomination?
I'll accept whatever Andrew say, but I'm telling you, I'm voting for Andrew. I'm telling you that right now.
Okay, we have accepted nominations for Mr. Brown and Mr. Young. Are there any further nominations on the floor?
I accept your nomination, Peter, for vice chair.
Oh, and I do nominate Ms. Nazem, just to clarify.
Commissioner Young just withdrew his acceptance, and I'm ready to vote for either Ms. Nazem or Mr. Brown.
All right, noting that your acceptance is withdrawn, Mr. Young, we currently have as nominations Mr. Brown and Ms. Nazem. Are there any further nominations? Is there anyone who wishes to speak further? Seeing none, we'll turn this over to a roll call vote.
Mr. Chair, this is Councilwoman Hightower, and I'm just viewing the Zoom meeting.
Welcome, Councilwoman Hightower.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is an appropriate time for me to say anything at all right now. I am having a little heartburn today about some things. Let me just say that everything Quentin said and everything Andrew said is so true. And District 1 finds itself having the least amount of representation across all of these boards because the slots are filled by Districts 4, Districts 3, Districts 5. And so when those slots come up, our opportunities have been very limited. I've been very strategic about trying to put outspoken, passionate people like Mr. Brown to serve District 1. So I was very intentional about his appointment. He is a leader, he is a voice for our district. We probably are the #1 district who struggled the hardest. We need voices out there. We need advocates out there. We also need people to see us being in leadership roles out there. And so it's concerning to me to listen at this dialogue today that it's almost like we're not getting it. The people that protested in the street did it for a reason. Started out by George Floyd, obviously, but it has grown and metamorphosed into something much bigger. And so to the tune of relevancy, how relevant are we in all that we do? And yes, I'm a representative of all the city, but my focus is District 1. And in District 1, there's 68% African Americans. And as I've said to you all before, when I've come before you, when I'm concerned about the types of housing, the quality of housing, and the things we need to do to get better housing in this district. That is where my advocacy lies as well. And I don't think we need to really miss that. You know, I don't want us to see this as resume builders, you know, to make ourselves look, you know, I want to see the work. And District 1 really needs strong advocacy. There is Ms. Biggerstaff there as well. I know her passion is housing. But the people who are really suffering at the hands of housing disparities are African Americans. I ride up and down those streets every day, and I almost cry because I'm thinking, how can we get out of this? You know, so I just kind of want to share that with you. So I think somebody here is missing that, and I don't say it's you, Chair, Mr. Chair, but I just want us to understand that, and I hope we can. And
Councilwoman Hightower, I appreciate that, and I share those goals. I would welcome, and this is outside of the scope of the election discussion right now. I would welcome a time to sit down with you and talk, if you're willing.
Sure, always.
Okay.
Always.
Well, I appreciate your advocacy, and I'd welcome a time to talk about that because I share your goal as it comes to housing.
Councilmember Hightower, I'll just throw this out. This may or may not be working on, you know, for today, but I am happy to resign my position in favor of having an African-American, wonderful young person take my place. I would love to see this particular commission and maybe some of the others, if it's applicable, more resemble what the population breakdown is in our city.
I'm be honest.
Well, I don't want you to do that. I mean,
I don't think we should lose Andrew either.
Yeah, I don't want you to do that, but
I won't say we shouldn't lose nobody else.
Sure, but
I don't want to lose him.
I'd like to say, you know, and this is all with all due respect of everybody here and the commissioners who I all respect their work, but it's going to be a whole lot better city when the numbers of commissioners more represent what the city really looks like. And that has been my goal. But I don't want you to do that because you have a voice, and that voice is important too. A lot of the communities that you serve, you know, need to be heard as well. And we are in a city now that's 52% Black and brown. And there's a lot of things we need to do better. But we do need to mentor our young people to get them in these positions of leadership, you know, because, I mean, basically they are going to be the next ones to make those decisions. And be honest, sometimes it's disheartening to see the disparities that we face as African Americans in our communities, where the housings are poor, the infrastructure is not well, where the economic development is poor, where we don't make the money, the quality of living is not as great. So that's disheartening. And we do need to instill hope and trying to make this city a better place. And I think all of us have a part in that. But then if you have never walked in my shoes, you don't understand. And I think that's really where Andrew was trying to go, as well as Quentin was going. So again, I apologize for taking up your meeting, but thank you for listening. Wow.
Thank you for your insights, Councilwoman.
You're welcome.
This is Carol.
No.
I'd like to make a comment if I could. I won't take long because I know we've got an agenda. But, you know, when you're talking about minorities, I don't want you to forget older folks, particularly with COVID, where we're the ones that in some places are not even being treated. Older folks still vote, and we want, older folks are still advocates, tremendous advocates, sometimes in ways that other people don't know. So if you're gonna be looking to have, you know, good representation, of course you want young, but I don't think you want to forget the older folks. And I have one more year on the commission, and I hope that everybody on this commission in any position is an advocate. We all have different places and different ways that we can do it. I think it's really important that we understand our role, that our role is to work with everybody. That includes with council when we want to see differences made that we can't make. And that includes that we work with our amazing staff, because we do have an amazing staff. If you look at what a lot of other cities deal with, we are extremely fortunate. So I just want to put that in. It really, in a way, it shouldn't matter whether you are the outspoken person or the quiet one, whether you are the chair or not the chair. I mean, I've chaired a commission for the county. I mean, I'm always chairing something, and I don't want it to matter. I want every member of any commission that I'm in charge of to feel they have an equal voice. So I just feel like I needed to say that, particularly as the old person and the person who will be off of here within a year. So thanks.
I like to comment on what Carolyn said. I think, Carolyn, you're missing the viewpoint of what the commissioner and what the council person is saying. And we understand that everyone on there, notice in your own comment, you've had an opportunity, a chance to lead and to be a chair. What she's stating is that representation, whether it be old or new, it still is looking like it's racially based. So kind of in your standpoint, what you're saying, I mean, it makes sense in the sense that, you know, we would like to have all demographics from old to young represented. But quite frankly, it's the younger generation, especially my younger generation, a lot of people who look like me, who have taken the mantle and helm and started moving things forward. I mean, it's because these young kids are out here putting their lives and themselves on the line that now worldwide attention is being brought, not just to George Floyd. George Floyd is only but the spark of already what many minorities already know. We already know that the police do stuff wrong. We already know the court system allows it to happen. We already know that people are treated as secondhand citizens. When it comes to housing, we already know that if you go to pretty much any city in America, there's no city in America you can't go to where the African Americans and minorities are in the poor districts of where that city is. That's just where they live. Pick a city and we'll go see it. And I guarantee you, it'll be black and brown people in the poor parts of it. So what she was stating was that on boards and commissions of cities, you need outspoken individuals, especially black and brown ones, to come out and say something. And so when you sit on a board and you say, oh, I just think it should all be about all of us working together and trying to be, that world does not exist. Whether you want to believe it to or doesn't, it doesn't exist. And now we're at the point where people are done talking about it and actions are now starting to be done said. That's one of the reasons why I was put here. I was put here because my people weren't treated well. I could do 10,000 other things. My uncle looks at this commission as irritation on Thursdays. But you know what? We got so tired of people coming down to our shop, complaining and crying about how they didn't have money to fix something and the city was going to destroy their house. And that's what was happening back in those days. So that's why she's saying something about it. And if I'm not mistaken, you from District 1, you should know this first onward. You were on there from District 1. So you, of all people, should be able to drive around District 1 and see what District 1 is like. I drive around it every day. That's what we work at all the time. But I don't want to take any more time, but that's kind of where she was coming from. And if I do seem a little animated, it's because low-key, myself, Andrew, and other people are just tired and frustrated. When trying to play the game by the rules that are set, oftentimes you lose. And sometimes it's just time for the underdog to win. That's just what it is. So let's go ahead on and take this next vote. Let's get on going and get on with the rest of our day.
All right. Is there any
Can
further discussion?
Can I make one comment?
Yes,
I'd actually like to encourage Andrew to not reject the nomination for vice chair. I think that I don't agree with all of the implications of this conversation, but I think given that, I think that Andrew, I would like to see you throw your hat back into the ring here.
Jan, that's very nice of you. I know too much history about race relations and socioeconomic and all that kind of stuff and the way it plays out. I appreciate what you're saying. I know that you by no means mean to signal this, but oftentimes persons like myself who are minorities, but not Black, are put in kinds of roles to play out in a public world, which I'm not comfortable with and I basically don't like. The majority minority population in our city is African American. Asian American is the fastest growing minority in America and in North Carolina. It's starting at like, I don't know, whatever percent. In our city, it's something like 5 or 6%. And where I grew up, when I grew up in America, the total population of Asian Americans was 0.5%. I see more Asian people in Greensboro than I ever see in my hometown. You know, everything has changed and stuff, but that does not, we're not there yet. We need to have Latinx, we need to have African American. So I'm throwing that all out to you, not because I disregard what you're saying, but I'll be blunt. I don't like the optics of it, and on that basis, that's why I don't want to take on that position. I'm happy to continue, you know, being a commissioner. I would love to see Quentin on that role. I would love to see him being able to inspire young people to say to our city, like, you know, this is not an elected position or anything, but this is a way of getting some changes getting done in places that really, really need help. So on that basis, long answer, but on that basis, no, I would demur from that. Thank you, though.
So what are the changes that you think are within the scope of what the commission does that you're talking about? I mean, we have kind of a limited role. I guess when I don't really understand what it is you think the commission should be doing differently than what it's doing.
Again, this is not a criticism of any individual here, because the way we look at stuff is based upon our experiences. I've been really privileged to live in a lot of different worlds. So I get to like go around and see different kinds of stuff, work with people on a regular basis that come from all kinds of backgrounds. And that's not to say that that's any different than maybe some of what you guys as individuals deal with as well. But I know enough to know my own limits as to what my perspectives are. I know enough about how I project to others, how I'm perceived in different kinds of circumstances, including those in a very public role here, very public political role. So, you know, to your question, no, there's nothing that any individual on the commission needs to quote unquote do, you know, except for the usual things which I think we strive for, which is to see beyond our own experiences. But I also want to say those attempts for us individually to try to imagine, like, so what is it like to be an African-American person who doesn't have a whole lot of dollars, who's got holes in the roof, trying to scrounge around and fix all this stuff so they can stay in their house and blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. I can listen to all that kind of stuff. I can try to be empathetic, right? I can try to do the right thing, and I think we all try to do that. But there are folks out there with equal or better talents than mine who happen to come from the African-American community who can do it better. And maybe we weren't that in this city 20 years ago because of the way things are going. But as an educator, I'm glad to see all these young people from all different backgrounds coming forward with all these amazing experiences and skills and insights. So, like, just to be really clear, and I love Carolyn, and I appreciate, look, I got her to look up and her wisdom and stuff, but I'm ready to step aside because I know, like, for me personally, not Carolyn, There are far more talented folks out there with the kind of insights. And if I was to step away, everything would work great, and it'd probably work even better because we've got that kind of talent in our city now. So that's my little spiel. I don't have any kind of like suggestions and stuff. You know, there's plenty of folks out there who have a long reading list. This is what people who want to get quote unquote woke should read. And if it was that easy, we'd all be awake at this point. So I don't have those kind of suggestions.
I appreciate this conversation, and I know we have diverted very far from elections right now, but I think this is a conversation worth having. This question is targeted towards Mr. Young and Mr. Brown and Councilwoman Hightower, if she's still here, but also open to everyone. If we enlarge the commission by possibly creating an at-large position or something of that nature, with the idea of bringing more voices to the commission.
I like it.
I don't know if bringing more voices is the answer. I would say it's the type of voices you bring. That's what I would say. So if we got enough that can do what needs to be done, fine, but you need to have a diverse group of individuals with a unique background. It doesn't just have to be resume built. The best resume to learn from is the ones you've had to fail at. Those are the best ones. Honestly, I consider myself quite reasonable. If you were to take my brother and put him in this position, it would not be, trust me, every meeting would be painful, every meeting. I feel like you gotta have the right voices, that have the right point, that have the right views. And when you see something, you need to speak on it. I know I'm probably very outspoken, but having the right types of voices, not just many voices, but just the right types. Because all you're going to do is just increase the voting. That's all you're going to do is increase the voting. But you need to have the right individuals who understand. And like Andrew has so eloquently put it, I don't speak as good as he does. You got to have people who have walked in those shoes. I mean, if you want to stop homelessness, elect a president who was homeless. If you want to stop dealing with healthcare, get you some doctors on there that have had to hold someone's hand knowing they can't afford it. If you want to get a better legal system, stop hiring or stop getting judges that were high-level lawyers. Get you a couple of public defendants who understand what it takes, who understands what goes through the system, that understand the breakdowns and the fact that people are homeless and there's mental health issues. That's the best thing. It's those types of voices that will help shape not just our commission. That's what I try to bring. I don't try to bring a logic of this is right and this is wrong. I try to look at it from an empathetic thought process of like the little old lady we had, last year, who came to the podium, and I think all of us could relate when she said, well, I've had cancer and I had a stroke and I just don't have any money, but I'm gonna do what I can. I think everybody could relate to that because we're all one cancer screening away and we're all one stroke away from being where she was. We gave her a lot of time and she got it fixed, right? And she told you, I can't afford the fines that we got. I can't afford that. It's between the fines and my medicine. That's the choices I got. You need people who can understand that, who can say, we're not gonna let nobody, whether it be a city who has plenty of money and it's just a line item budget, destroy your house. We're not gonna let somebody do that. It's the only house you got. You and your husband bought it 40 years ago. He's gone on and you're just trying to hold on. I think everybody can relate to that. And you need leadership that understands that, not something that's always black and white. And there could definitely be a gray area. But who can understand that better than someone who's probably grown up in a house like that, who's had a grandma they've had to go work for, who understands those types of things? Someone who's seen it through those lenses. Because no matter what type of glasses you put on, the best lens is the lens you got. And that's kind of what Andrew's been saying. And that's what Hightower's been saying. It doesn't make a difference. You have 100 people. They all look the same way. It don't make no difference. You got to have the right type of people. That's what matters.
Well, we have to leave this up to the council because they have to appoint us.
Thank you.
But I think but the other end of that is that
Suzanne, did you just say something? That was your point. What did you say, Suzanne?
I said the point being, city council approves the.
Yeah, we all know the rules, Suzanne. We got that. We all understand how it works. That's what we're just saying.
Quentin, you don't need to raise your voice. I'm just saying it's up to our city council representative.
You always got something smart to say. This ain't the only commission.
I'm gonna ask for order here. Mr. Brown, I'm going to ask for order. This is a public meeting and we will treat each other on the commission with respect. I'm open to having this discussion, but we're going to treat.
I called her out her name. She's still being respected, but she always got some little side comment, which we already just talked about, which is another reason why we talk on these things.
We don't need to interrupt or yell or insult each other.
No one's insulted her yet. The day's still young. You were saying?
All I was saying is, if you would let me finish, is that I agree with having a diversity on various boards and commissions. I sit on another commission and board with you, and I'm the only white female. So having said that, and that's not part of why we're here today, it is our city council representatives that nominate us to these roles on this commission. And I respect that. So you could, again, speak to Representative Hightower. She can speak to her council members. They can do what you're recommending, put different people in these spots. And the other thing that I was going to say is we talk about quite a few times, we talk about the penalties and the inspection fees. We talk about fines and fees. That's not our role either. But we, thanks to you, we do bring that up because a lot of people don't understand them. And I do understand that too. As a real estate broker, there are a lot of fees that are charged even when you close or when you buy a home. So I can understand and appreciate what you're trying to bring to this. Okay, that's all I want to say is it's not our responsibility to put who's on the board or commissions. That is city council for this one. That's all I'm saying. I'm done.
All right. I'm going to call the question on this vote unless there are any further nominations. And I do welcome this discussion at a later time and date in a different setting, but we do have commission business to continue with. So are there any further nominations? Seeing none, we have Mr. Brown and Ms. Nazem both nominated and accepted for the vice chair position. I believe that Mr. Brown was nominated first, so it would be proper to have a vote on Mr. Brown first. City staff, is that correct, that he was the first nomination of the two remaining?
I'll just do a roll call and everyone can call off who they.
Okay. Okay.
Commissioner Biggerstaff?
Ms. Nazem.
Commissioner Brown?
So.
Commissioner Lamont?
Mr. Brown?
Commissioner Nazem?
Myself.
Commissioner Young?
Brown.
Commissioner Cannon?
Ms. Nazem.
Chair Isakoff?
Ms. Nazem.
Anything else for the day?
I believe that concludes our business. That's a vote of 4-3. Ms. Nazem, by my understanding, will continue as vice chair of the commission.
Thank you.
Is there any further business before the commission at this time?
We made a motion to only have leadership for 1 year. Are we allowed to hear that now or no?
Yes, it would be.
I'll tell you what, let's not even vote for that, because quite frankly, the way that we're kind of set up to vote is never really going to work out in like a liberal manner. It's really never going to work out. I'm pretty sure I already know how it's going to turn out. So that's, let me remove that motion and let's just wait till the next meeting and see what happens.
All right, Mr. Brown, you're withdrawing your motion?
Sure am. Just keep it.
Okay.
Let's just keep everything the way it's always been, and let's see how that plays out.
With that motion withdrawn, is there any further business before the commission?
Can I make one quick comment? I think that I think that it would be good for us to talk again soon about the issue of length of terms of the officers to serve. I think it would be good for all of us to spend a little time thinking about it before we get to kind of a final decision and a vote. But I do think it's worth talking about and important, but probably not something to do hastily anyway. So.
I agree with you, and we did just schedule an annual training session for September 16th. Perhaps that would be an appropriate place to have this discussion.
Yeah, I think that would be good.
I agree with that too. I think it's a really good idea, and I'd like to have a chance to, to think about. I'd like to look at what's happened at other places, and I'd like to really look into that.
Mr. Chairman, for your training with the list of topics that y'all provided us, I'm sure we'll end up trying to fill that time as short amount as possible. But from what I'm hearing, and I like the discussion, by the way, it's great. It's something I think is very beneficial. Would y'all like a work session set at a different time?
Focus solely on this topic?
On whatever topic you want to discuss, but yeah, it sounds like this conversation that y'all want to continue it. Would you like to set up a work session in which all of y'all can be present? Because if you do, then I'll have to arrange for our court reporter to be present because you will have a quorum. But I can set that up for y'all. I don't know that you want to consume your training time with this, and I don't know if you want to spend more than 3 hours of your day on here on a virtual meeting.
Training mandatory? Is this training mandatory?
We do the training annually, yes.
So if a person misses the training, is this training mandatory to serve on this board?
No.
No?
No, I do not think the training is mandatory in the boards and commissions handbook.
Okay, I was just wondering. So if a person don't make the training, that don't really stop nothing, right?
Okay.
That's why I was asking you, Troy. So if a person doesn't make the training, will this stop them from being able to be on the boards and commissions? That's
No,
better.
sir. No, sir. It will not. The only requirement as a commissioner is that each person signs the code of conduct form for the city clerk's office. That's the only. That and your attendance and participation is the only thing that I find in the handbook as a requirement.
Let me just ask, would it be worthwhile if we had a separate session to handle maybe more than this issue? I mean, I think we should always look at the length of terms and, every so often in the commission, but what about other things? Are other things about code of conduct or I would love for us to at some point talk about more that we can do individually and as a commission, as advocates, because as Sharon said, housing advocacy is my big issue. So I don't know if it's worthwhile, if anybody would have other topics, or if we should even think about them and send them to you, Troy. But
I like to know
go ahead.
What the code of conduct is. Like, what is considered within the realms of good code of conduct? I like to know that myself.
Yeah, I mean, and also like what to make sure that we know what really is what we can do as commission versus like should we be talking about things as a commission that we'd like to see changes happen that we would want to present to council. We've never done that at the time that I know about.
Yeah.
But maybe that's something that we should consider.
So, Mr. Chairman, not to interrupt y'all's training in September, would y'all like for a work session set up during the week of the 24th this month? That gives y'all 2 weeks to think about what you want to discuss and kind of work together. Is that something y'all would like for us to set up for you?
I think that.
Are you looking at a
looking
at a specific
I don't have
date?
any more time to give you than what we already have right here. So I don't know if I'll be able to make that training session. I'll tell you that right now. I'm super busy. And quite frankly, just being candid, after seeing kind of what we're dealing with now, I don't want to spend any time more than I absolutely have to. I want to do what I was called to do by my council person and from my district, let people come to it. Other than that, if we don't have to be around each other more than we have to, I would appreciate it if we ain't. Well, at least not for me, at least. I don't know how everybody else feels. But at this point, we got to do, I don't got but so much time for training. So we can just figure out what we need to do and let's just do the work. I would appreciate it.
I think having some type of training for whoever wants to come, or not even training, a work session to continue this discussion would be helpful for whoever wishes to come.
Yeah, and I'm not thinking of it as training. I'm thinking about it as things that might lead to some important decisions. Because we aren't the body that make the decisions about what's going to happen with everything from funding to priorities. We have a very competent city council that does that, but we can, as commissioners, make recommendations. And I know most of us have individual ways that we do it, but maybe, and we serve on different commissions and different committees, and we all have different roles, but I think we could have some pretty powerful, make some pretty powerful suggestions together. And I really would like to see Quentin be a part of that.
I'm gonna be honest with you, Carolyn. We're gonna see how that goes. I mean, I gotta sit down and talk to my district chair. I gotta sit down and talk about it and be honest with you, because I've been on this commission a long time, a lot longer than others. And quite frankly, what I don't want to do is basically be a figurehead in any type of situation. I don't want to be the black face that makes it look like it's all right. I already know there's problems. You know there's problems. The city knows there's problems. And that's what it is. One of the big problems is I noticed at all that the majority of the white people on this board voted the same way. That's a problem. Whether you see it or not, that's a problem. And I'm just going to call it for what it is. Whether you met before the meeting or after or at any time, that just goes to show you the leadership can't be diverse. So work together.
While I understand that there may have been meetings before this meeting by some commission members, I can assure you that myself nor anyone else that I know of did.
Not.
Okay, either way. Either way. What we have to look at is how the
Mr. Brown, you did ask what would be a violation of the code of conduct. The
Yeah,
public records laws of North Carolina prohibit those types of meetings.
That's one of the things I was looking at. Like, I know y'all didn't get together before this meeting because I know I didn't. So,
okay.
But in any case, you know, long story short, we recognize, and that seems to be one of the interesting things on the board, even before certain other people got on here. It'd be a certain demographic that voted a certain way. And it's because of that the country, the city, and the world is in the disarray that it is now. The balance of power is going to be changed one way or another. And like the councilwoman said, it may be time to look at different terms of diversity on certain things. We just don't have enough. I'm tired of being the only black and brown voice on the board, and usually I have to fight against the white voices, and I don't appreciate it. It gets old after a while. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's irritating. You just got other stuff to do. Usually, which is by design, by the way. I want you to know it's designed to be that way. I guess we just never see eye to eye.
But we don't pick the other members of the board. I mean,
Mr. Chairman, from the comment I made earlier, how about we just stick to the meeting that y'all scheduled for September 16th for the training? And what we'll do is we can start the meeting off if y'all want to have this discussion, and I can certainly rearrange training and move it any later day or whatever else. We'll just play it by ear that day so that y'all can have the discussion that you want to have. Okay.
Thank you, Troy. All right. Is there any further business? I think we've wrapped up a lot of good stuff today, and hopefully that discussion will continue.
Mr. Chair, this is Councilwoman Hightower. Can y'all hear me? I'm in my car.
Yes, ma'am.
I think I would urge you to look into the race GSO that the city is currently doing and that is having conversations with all their departments. I think we're moving that to conversations of our boards and commissions as well, because I think right now that is the most important discussion we need to have that people are not having. And there are biases that people don't realize they have, that Quentin has pointed out some things, and it does seem to have gotten a little tense. And so I think when we better understand why these things occur, what happens, and so I think these conversations that we have been intentional about with city employees, city departments, probably needs to translate over to our representation. Because it is up to council members to appoint. But council members, I do give my direction to my appointees that I expect them to represent our district, number one. And I'm intentional about that for me, because there's an old saying that says, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. And we have often been on the menu far too long. So I would like to encourage that happen. So I just want to say that. Thank you.
Race GSO is what you mentioned?
Yes.
Okay. And I would like that added to the minutes. That would be something good for people to review. All right. Is there any further business? Seeing none, are there any motions to adjourn on the floor?
I move we adjourn.
Mr. Chairman, when you finalize your motion, legal advised me that if everybody could do a snapshot or screenshot of the private chat, just to ensure our open meeting laws rules are followed. That was a request by legal, which last month it was Terry Jones.
We'll do that. Thank you. So we have a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. We'll call the vote on this.
Commissioner Biggerstaff?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown? Commissioner Lamont? Commissioner Nasm?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Cannon?
Yes.
Chair Isikoff?
Yes. That passes unanimously. Thank you very much, everyone. I appreciate everyone's participation and insights. Have a good week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.